right, folks, welcome to another edition of Outspoken. I'm Dan Sileo, and I hope everyone had a spectacular 4th of July celebrating the 250th anniversary of America. Fireworks yesterday were absolutely awesome. All the sports going on, too. What storylines we had this week. The World Cup has just galvanized America. Major League Baseball, we're at the All-Star break just about. We're through 4th of July now. We got camps coming up in the National Football League. Baseball is, like I said, just front and center now along with this World Cup. Folks, no question. This is one of the best times I've seen when it comes to covering sports in a long time. All right, I do want to hit on the 2026 FIFA World Cup. You know, I've made this comment before about the world of sports, and that is this. Very few things in our country have an opportunity to galvanize people, no matter if you're Republican or Democrat, no matter what your sexual persuasion is, no matter what your religion is, and that's the world of sports. Seeing everybody come together in all these stadiums that are packed from coast to coast, all of North America that's hosting these events, it's been truly remarkable to watch. And sports is doing this. I love the fact during the 250th anniversary of our country, we're seeing other nations coming to our country and coming to North America to really come as one. There's very few things on the planet left that bring people together, and the world of sports is clearly one of them. You see this all over. You see the Argentina national team with all their great fans down at Hard Rock. You saw what the Brazilian team is doing. You see what Team Mexico is doing also in Mexico City, which is galvanizing everything. And by the way, I love the fact that you have Team Mexico and England getting ready for that great matchup. Folks, I can't wait to see what happens on Monday night with Belgium and the United States national team. Really can't. By the way, what's really dope about all of this going on right now, like I said, when you go into a 65, 70,000 seat stadium, nobody cares about your politics, dude. This is nationalism. This is people rooting for their Argentina team, their U.S. national team. The French one is here having a great time. This is what you see in sports. Very few things, as I said, can galvanize people, bring us together. The world of sports, nothing like it. This has been one of the greatest sporting events that I've seen in my lifetime that is bringing nations here for us to be able to enjoy. Other cultures coming to our country. Also a sport that really is not a front and center sport, and maybe, just maybe, for the first time, the women have done this. They've carried the torch for decades when it comes to soccer in this country. Just maybe we're in a position now where the Team U.S. men's team has an opportunity to take that baton and run with it and make soccer something in this country for all of us to watch and for all of us to root for. Look, I'm a big proponent of selling sports. That's my job. It's storylines, content. That's the number one thing I'm looking for. I want more things to cover. I want to be able to have a great time watching this great event and seeing all these countries in this country being here at this time during the 250th anniversary of our great nation. I got to tell you, one of the truly greatest sporting events I've ever seen. Now, the Olympics are going to be coming up next year. This here, without a doubt, has in my lifetime been one of the greatest Olympics. The 84 games we had in Los Angeles, we've had numerous games, Atlanta, we've held the Olympics in this country, but this has been one of the greatest events that I can remember covering. I sit down and I'm watching soccer. And by the way, folks, do I put on my 4-year jacket and pretend that I'm a soccer analyst? I'm not an analyst, and I really don't know the sport that well. But what I do like is compelling content, and it really has been. Watching all these superstars that I really don't know around the world, getting inundated by who Messi is and seeing Cristiano Ronaldo not showing up, having people criticize the French yesterday for their performance and seeing what people are talking about. Really, you know, I'm just sitting back as a fan, and I'm watching truly one of the best events I've seen our country host. And it's been awesome watching what we see during the World Cup. I'm a big fan. I can't wait to see, as I said Monday night, for what it is entailed for America as we get ready for Belgium on Monday night. The ratings also have been off the charts. North of 20 million people have been watching non-American events. I mean, all these teams that have come here, and people are compelled by watching the Argentinians, Portugal, French, all of it. It's been really great. Truly one of the greatest events that we've seen. 2026 FIFA, you've done a really great job, and so has America putting this thing on. Make no mistake about it. All right. September 19th, 2026. Do you know what that date is? Mark it down because you'll want to see this. This is going to be when LSU travels to Ole Miss in Oxford, Mississippi. You've got a villain now, and you've got one of the most hated football teams in all the country for one thing. You know what that is? Lane Kiffin going back to Ole Miss. How he left those kids and how he left that program. It's very controversial during the college football playoff. Trinidad Chambers, who ended up getting his eligibility restored for him to be able to play this coming season, already has this thing marked down on his calendar as one of the biggest events right here. Ole Miss Trinidad Chambers is sitting there. One game that he's looking forward to, it's Louisiana State University. Chambers added, Lane Kiffin is at LSU now. Weiss is at LSU now. Some of our former players are there at LSU. Getting ready. This is going to be a rivalry. This is what I'm talking about in college sports right here. This is everything you want. You got a villain and you've got a program that wants justice, and how Lane Kiffin ended up leaving that program high and dry. I'm not a Lane Kiffin guy. I would never play for a guy like that. In my opinion, he left those kids hanging because it's always been about Lane Kiffin. As a matter of fact, I can't believe that's Monty Kiffin's kid. Monty Kiffin is one of the greatest defensive-minded guys in the history of the National Football League. And if you've ever been around Monty Kiffin is one of the most revered and respected men that's ever coached in the National Football League. Players say great things about Monty and what kind of character he had in bringing the best out of him. I think Lane Kiffin is a fraud. Lane Kiffin has lost every single place he's ever coached at except one place, and that's been at Ole Miss, who gave him the opportunity to coach a big-time program. Name me a place where he won. Tennessee? No. USC? No. Give me another one. The Raiders? No. Every single place that he has ever coached, he's been fired. And by the way, he was fired on the tarmac coming home from a game when he was the head football coach at USC because USC and Mike Garrett had enough of him. Had enough of his ways. Had enough of his philandering. Had enough of all the things that were going on. He goes to Ole Miss. Ole Miss really helps him get his life back in order. His wife ended up leaving him. The whole 9 yards. I learned what hot yoga was through all the co-ed conversations that they were having about the head football coach and his philandering going on when he was there at Oxford. This guy's not a head coach that I would ever send my kid to play for. However, you know what he does make? He makes for great content, and he makes for a great rivalry. September 19th, baby. 2026 is a must-view game for when that guy takes his LSU Tigers to Ole Miss and they play that football game. Man, I can't wait to see what Ole Miss does in that game, and I'll be rooting for Ole Miss. And I don't say this very often. I will be rooting against Lane Kiffin in this football game. It surely makes for compelling television, though. That is a must-see TV this coming college football year. Folks, my great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the number one injury law firm in all of America for a reason. It's because they win. With over $20 billion recovered, folks, I tell you this all the time. This company was built by John and Ultima Morgan because it had you in mind. The family in Pennsylvania that was initially offered $650K, they got nearly $30 million in settlement. Or the family in Florida that was initially offered $350,000, they ended up getting nearly $12 million in settlement. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 559. You tell me, I'll tell you this. You make sure Big Sales sent you. Now listen, Major League Baseball, absolutely awesome. We will do this next right here on SportsGrid. No question, one of the great weekends in all of Major League Baseball is the 4th of July weekend. I mean, hey, you can't be any more Americana than baseball in the 4th of July weekend. We have Bob Nightengale from USA Today with us here. Bob, right? I mean, 4th of July weekend, outside of opening day, right? This is like the biggest weekend for all of Major League Baseball because this really embodies what the game is all about, the 4th of July weekend.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of day games, everybody getting together, a lot of family time. And I think the players realize, okay, once July 4th weekend is here, then just 1 week before the All-Star break, then the guys that aren't playing the game got to have a breather. Teams can reset. So I think they say, okay, here's a lot to finish line, at least for the first half, and I know they can get 4 or 5 days off.
Bob, I was reading your column this morning, and I recommend everyone does it there at the USA Today. CB Buckner, along with 6 other umpires, have been given an opportunity to retire at the end of the conclusion of this season. What's the impact of that, in your opinion?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised to see that opening up for Jen Powell. She'd be the first female umpire full-time in Major League Baseball history. So I don't know if it's going to happen for sure. But with 7 openings, it certainly, opens a way for her. And I guess they offered good packages. You had to be 59 and a half to be able to qualify for it. And it's a big turnaround. A lot of veteran guys there, a lot of crew chiefs.
Is there anything that is in line with the ABS system? Can you tie it anything, or is this they just want to get younger at that position when it comes to the umpires in baseball?
Well, they like to get younger, and I think the veteran guys say, you know what, we've had enough with the ABS thing, checking the pitcher's gloves all the time. I mean, there's a lot that goes on. The instant replay is new. Not blocking the plate at home plate, not be able to slide into the fielder at second base. So a lot has changed in the game, and I think the umpires aren't having nearly as much fun as they used to with so much on their plate.
There was a big conversation when they ended up changing up the manager in New York there with the New York Mets. People were talking potentially Alex Cora. His name was obviously being predominantly thrown around with a lot of jobs that could happen at the end of this year here. But you're saying that you believe it's going to be Carlos Beltran with the New York Mets at the end of this year?
I think it's a favorite. I think for sure Cora goes to Philadelphia, unless the Phillies win the World Series and Manley wants to return, something like that. But I think Cora's there. I just think Beltran's a favorite. I thought he should have been able to keep his job the first time. He got the job and never managed a game because of the Astro scandal. And he was just a player in that thing. It wasn't like he was orchestrating it. I mean, he wasn't a GM, it wasn't a manager, it wasn't a godfather. So I think he got a raw deal. He's in that front office. I think it makes a lot of sense to have a guy, with his presence and to be in the dugout.
What's David Stearns' future with the New York Mets, in your opinion? Are they going to have a total cleaning house, or do you think he survives?
Well, he's going to survive. I mean, the owners came out this week, Steve Cohen, and said that he's going to be there for the duration of his contract. Remember now, he makes about $14 million a year. Not that Cohen can't afford it, but you're talking about 3 times the salary of normal executives. So, no, they're going to give him a chance to see if this thing can work. He's got 2 more years. Obviously, this year was a complete disaster. We'll see what he does during the winter.
Bob, baseball's all-star voting came in. Are you happy with the process? Obviously you got a fan part of this whole voting here, but to me, it looks like, again, the big markets, kind of if you go with a major election, like a presidential election, now you see why you have electoral colleges, because it really helps everybody get a chance to get into the starting lineup. Are you okay with the procedure on how they select the team?
I am. I mean, it's a fan contest. It's an exhibition. So let the fans vote who the starter is. And that's all they got is the starters. Then it's the players. So the players say, okay, we'll do our picks. So they pick, the players, the managers, the coaches, they pick who's the entire starting rotation, the relievers, and all the reserves. And then MLB has got, 6 picks on each side. A lot of that lies to fill in as far as make sure every team is represented. Like they had to make sure that Jordan Walker from St. Louis was on that team. Cardinals didn't have anybody. Goodman's on the Rockies, and make sure he was on that team. So no, I obviously there's some flaws in every process, but I like it. I still like the old days where those ballots were at the ballpark and people were filling them out and dropping it in the box.
I have a couple of those Gillette old ballots, that you put in the box when you were at the ballpark. I love those things there. Were there any people that you thought maybe were snubbed in this voting here? Was there somebody that you thought should have been in the All-Star game, National League or American League?
Well, there's a lot of guys that could have been. I mean, look at Boston Red Sox. I mean, Sonny Gray's had a heck of a year. Was he 9-1, 10-1? He deserves to be in, and I think they'll add him. Wilson Contreras had a monster year. So really, the Red Sox best pitcher and the best hitter, neither one of them are in the game. Bryce Terang, belongs for the Milwaukee Brewers. So you going on. There's about, Westerhoff, the nice young rookie for the Cardinals. He should be in that game. So there's about, 10 or 12, good snubs. But there's so many replacements in the last, 10 days. So we'll see who is left out, come All-Star game.
Absolutely here. Bob, you still like the All-Star game? Do you think it still has the punch that it once had? I mean, look, I have this conversation with you all the time, and I know you're a huge historian with it, but I mean, it just maybe I romanticized more about it when I was a kid because we saw the National League, American League guys only once outside of a World Series. Do you think it still has that same punch when we get to that game next week?
No, not even close. I mean, before you would have some ex-players come in and say, "Hey, we got to beat these SOBs. Let's keep our pride up here." You got Pete Rose, blowing over Ray Fosse at home plate. Players play to win. They don't play to win now. It's just exhibition, and they're having fun with it. And I wish the pitchers were pitching more. It's usually just one inning at a time. I like to see a guy go 2 or 3 innings, at least 2 innings, like when Pedro Martinez struck out 5 of 6 at Fenway. That was a magical moment.
Absolutely there. And you know what, too, like you said, I mean, it's an exhibition. And back in the day, Pete Rose, I had the privilege of being one of the last interviews. He told me he spent the night before with Ray Fosse prior to blowing him up. We're going to talk more with Bob Nightengale from USA Today. We'll get his thoughts on the first half of the season. We'll do that next. Right around SportsGrid. there is just nothing like 4th of July weekend in Major League Baseball. It's synonymous with America. And Bob Nightengale from USA Today is here with us. And Bob, let's get into the first half of the season there as we get ready to come up on the All-Star game here. How about the Rays? And I keep asking you this each and every single time we get you here. They're up 4 games now in the American League East on the Yankees. Not that the American League East is blowing people away right now, but, you and I both were sitting there saying, dude, this is going to be a project year for the Rays. Incredible on what Kevin Cash has done. Even you have to be surprised with where they are right now and what they're doing. I believe they're 9-1 over the last 10.
No, absolutely. When the Rays front office people and leg people did a mile projection, I think they came up with 92 wins. And I think even people in the front office go, 92 wins? You got to be kidding me. And, how about 85 wins or something? So, no, huge surprise. And, with the way the Yankees are tumbling right now and the way the American League is so down, I think the Rays are reversing course. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see them ultra aggressive and say, you know what, let's go for this thing. We got a chance because, we don't have the Dodgers in our league. We don't have the Phillies. We can beat the Yankees. We're 4 games up. So why not go for it?
Eric Neander, is he underrated as a general manager in Major League Baseball, you think? I mean, Andrew Friedman, everyone knew what he was all about in pouring the cement there with the Rays and how they built that small ball baseball organization, him and Joe Madden. Is he another one of these guys? I find it incredible, Bob. Think about it. So they replace Andrew Friedman with Eric Neander. They replace Joe Madden with Kevin Cash, and they're getting the same result. I mean, you don't see that, and especially in the American League East, which is incredible. Really a testament to baseball operations.
No, absolutely. Very, very underrated. I think just because it's in Tampa, he's not in, LA, New York, or Chicago. And, look at all the managers, that have come from that system. Look at the GMs that come from that system. So, it's almost like a feeding ground for all the other teams. So, no, magnificent job. But, what they got about 3 or 4 managers that have come from Tampa already, a couple GMs. So, yeah, they get the right people, and people love working there for sure.
What has happened to the National League West outside of the Dodgers? But that thing looks like it's starting to implode right now, most notably what the Padres are doing right now. What's happened to the West?
Yeah, I mean, the Dodgers might as well have a party right now. When they got this thing sewed up, they might as well set up their pitching rotation for the playoffs. 14-game lead, 15 over the Padres. So it's a mess. I mean, the Padres have completely fallen apart. That pitching staff, outside Michael King, nobody can pitch. Machado still can't hit his weight. It's up and down that lineup. There's holes everywhere. So it'll be interesting. This is a franchise that sells out a lot of games. The fans are starting to get upset here. New ownership coming in. These new owners may come in and have a hard time getting sellouts if they keep playing as badly as they are. I mean, they're starting to get booed at home.
Do you think that they could move either Machado or a Tatis Jr. there with the new owners coming in? That's not Peter Seidler any longer. God rest his soul. I mean, this is a whole new group here. And like you said, they may want a clean slate here. And for, you and I talked a little bit. AJ Preller has a losing record since he's been the general manager there in San Diego. Could we see sweeping changes happening there with that team?
Well, the trouble is you're going to be stuck with those contracts. No one's going to take Machado. He's making $35-40 million a year. You still got like 7 years left of that thing. Same with Tatis. I think Tatis is more immovable if you eat some of the contract. Bogart's, unmovable. Yu Darvish, Joe Musgrove, on and on. So big-time contracts that they can't move. I think that, right now, they got the closer, Mason Miller, gave up a lot to get him. I think they may have no choice but to listen to offers at the deadline. You say, you know what, it's not working here. We may have to wave the white flag and sell.
Absolutely. You said this a year ago about the Phillies. You think they run down the Braves by the end of the year and win the National League East?
I think they're very could. I think they definitely make the playoffs. They're going to be there one way or the other. I think Atlanta is aggressive at the deadline. I think Atlanta could get Skubal. If Atlanta gets Skubal, then I think they'd be okay because they need some pitching. But I think the I think the Phillies are right in there. Very good team. They really need Aaron Nola to step up. They owe him a lot of money. If he can just step up and be a solid number 4 guy, then I think they're in good shape. And I think that's a team that could give the Dodgers fits in the postseason.
15 seconds here. What's happened to the Yankees?
Aaron Judge. I mean, if we don't know how valuable he was before, we sure do now. I mean, it's a completely different team without this guy. Clubhouse, field, presence, complete different team. That's how much he means that franchise.
Absolutely, man. There's no question. They're not playing very good baseball right now. And, man, I'll tell you what, the Rays are just pushing further away. We'll see what happens by the end of the year. Happy 4th of July weekend, Bob. Thank you so much. Christine Brennan, thanks for the USA today. We're not SportsGrid.
He gives them a chance, but they've got to keep putting people around him. I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't know that he's the one that elevates you all by himself. I think he still needs the help. Excellent player, perfect guy to lead your organization, perfect place for it. And by the way, I'd start him from day one. I wouldn't waste any time on it. But got to put pieces around him, and John Spytek has already started doing that.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo. Only on SportsGrid.
This is the 3rd time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done.
Yeah.
He's
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latination Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.
You know, very seldom do I say this, but this is one of the interviews that I've been looking forward to all weekend long. It's with Christine Brennan, and she wrote a book on her game, The Revolution in Women's Sports, and it chronicles Caitlin Clark. And we really look forward to having her here. And I've got to throw this at Christine right away. Welcome aboard. Happy 4th of July weekend to you. But we got to start with this WNBA. It's almost laughable now. So Caitlin Clark with the All-Star voting, she's 3rd in scoring. She's 2nd in assists. She's 3rd in 3 points. And by the way, for the first time in 16 years, you got a basketball team in the WNBA scoring 94 points a game. I mean, Christine, this stuff is now becoming laughable on how she is being treated by the WNBA.
Dan, it's great to be with you, and happy 4th weekend to you as well. And yes, the players ranked her 11th in the voting. Last year they had her 9th. So they dropped her 2 spots. And when I say that, that's, accumulated voting of all the players, and there's reporting that some teams didn't vote. It's crazy. Nonetheless, those numbers exist. They're out there. And the thought that Caitlin Clark, as you said, her statistics are terrific. She's having the best year of her 3. Obviously, last year she only played 13 games because of injuries. But Rookie of the Year 2 years ago, all WNBA first team, all-star starter, now 3 straight years. And the fact that she is playing so well, which surprises a lot of people. I heard that when I was reporting my book on Caitlin Clark, they were really shocked that she had a good year. And in some cases, understandably, some great college coaches who like her a lot saying, we didn't know she'd be this good. Obviously, those who don't like her are shocked and not happy that she's playing so well or whatever their feelings are. Again, I've reported this for 2 years now, so this is not anything new. And then you see the numbers, and there it is. Facts are facts, data is data. You cannot argue that. And the level of anger, of jealousy, of uncertainty, of just not liking her, just wanting to be minimize Caitlin Clark. I think that's a word I've used a lot, and I'll use it again, minimizing the impact of Caitlin Clark from some of these players. There's no other way to interpret, as you said, those great stats, top of the league, a first player ever to reach so many statistical categories of points and assists. Just remarkable the way her stats over the first 2.5 years of her career in the WNBA. And then just have the players say she's the 11th best guard. I think what it does is it shows everyone exactly the.
Okay, let's see if we are able to get Christine Brennan back here. We look forward to talking with her here because these stats and these numbers are just remarkable. And the fact that when you see where she is, she's third in scoring, she's second in assists. She's third in three-point shooting. And on top of that, her basketball team is averaging 94 points a game. I don't know if you have any more impact in what we're looking at here and how you've had this impact on this league. And again, it's professional jealousy. There's racism involved with it. We were talking with Coach James Young yesterday about this as well. There's no doubt in how you're looking at a golden goose in your sport, and you really don't know how and if you're able to promote. You really don't know what you're doing here. So at the end of the day, the WNBA's got to ask, and I would even ask this comment, where's the NBA in this conversation? I mean, the National Basketball Association has been hemorrhaging money for 28 years when it came to this scenario. And for the first time, they're starting to make money. You're seeing them being able to have sold out arenas where the Indiana Fever and her are being able to play. You're seeing that nowhere else. And you get the professional jealousy that really is all over the league. I mean, it's becoming either incompetent or it's something else here when you're talking about, or it's intentional. I mean, it's either incompetence or it's intentional in what's going on here with Caitlin Clark in this story. It's been one of the more remarkable stories that I've ever seen when it comes to this. Caitlin Clark finally made her opinion known, and she did a really great press conference and really had an opportunity to address it. And she talked about the officiating that was going on in the WNBA. They need to make it full time. They need to sit down and really have an opportunity to be able to defend the players a little bit better. And this really starts with Kathy Engelberg, the WNBA commissioner. It's about time that they have a replacement for her and put somebody more qualified in as the commissioner of this sport. Because at the end of the day, make no mistake about it, you have an opportunity to be a mainstream sport now, and you can play in front of arenas that are packed. You have a golden goose there. So again, I want to bring Christine back here with us here. Christine, I do want to ask you this question here. Sarah Spain said something, and I want you to respond to this if you can. Says that Brennan was painting the entire league with one broad stroke. We would never say that the WNBA, the NBA hates fill in the blank. That's described every single player in the league as having an opinion and being a part of an agenda. She does that all the time with the WNBA, and it's frankly a dereliction of duties as a journalist. I'd love your response to that.
By the way, sorry, I lost you there. I guess the way of the world and technology, and I hope you got the gist of obviously what I was saying there about how illustrative that whole situation is. I've known Sarah for a long time. I have supported her in ways big and small. She would call me often kind of last minute or within the last couple hours before her show on ESPN and ask if I could be on, sometimes needing something, or she told me it's, last minute, sorry. And I, of course, said yes every single time, whether it was here in DC or if I was at the Olympics or what have you. And I will, always support women and men, younger people in sports media. I do more mentoring and supporting and talking to people than anything else. And Sarah's been one of those people for years, and she knows it. For some reason, she has decided to attach herself to me on this. That's her right. It's a free country. She got things completely wrong and put them all on Twitter when I asked the 2 questions of Dejanay Carrington that then the WNBA players wanted to ban me for. They failed miserably. I did not get banned. And what it showed was, oh my goodness, are they saying that women can't handle the same questions as men? And, the 21st century, I don't know what. But that was a sad, sad day and sad time for the WNBA and the players to not like a couple of questions that helped the athlete, Dejanay Carrington, clear the air. But Sarah got involved in that, had 4 or 5 things wrong, put them all over Twitter, and I called her. I don't ever tweet at people. I called her and I said, this is all wrong. And she said, I'll quote you saying that. And she wanted to tweet that. And I said, no, don't do that. And then I had to tweet it out just to clear the air. And she was wrong. And she admitted she was wrong. So I don't know what's going on with Sarah. I feel very comfortable with my journalism. I think anyone I work for, USA Today, CNN, ABC, PBS NewsHour, feel very comfortable with my journalism. I've been doing this for over 40 years, as you know. The reason my book is a New York Times bestseller is because it's all factual. That column I wrote the other day is there's not one person other than Sarah who's squawked about that. And but again, she has every right to do that. I don't know what's going on with her, but I have no beef with her. This is a one-way street. There's something that she is just continuing on. And by the way, when I wrote about the disdain and the way the players feel, well, again, what we talked about, 11th. I mean, the examples are all over the place of exactly what I wrote in that column in USA Today. That
Christine, do me a favor. Do me a favor. I want to hold you over, and we want to be able to continue this here. More with the legendary Christine Brennan from USA Today. We'll do that next.
You wouldn't have your ex officiate your wedding.
Do you, Jake? Liar? Cheater? Gaslighter?
So why have anyone but America's largest injury law firm handle your injury case? With over $30 billion recovered for our clients, there's a reason to go big.
Gaslighter, coitus crier, he's got more red flags than a bullfighter's attire.
Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
More of our conversation with USA Today and award-winning columnist Christine Brennan. She joins us now here, and we get her thoughts here on this. And I want to follow up with a little bit. I've never seen anybody who's more of a maverick for women's sports in my entire life than Christine Brennan. But I got to tell you, Christine, I mean, people like Sarah Spain and some of these other people, when you write something and you're in favor of, covering a sport like where Caitlin Clark is in this WNBA, it just seems to me that it's really gone down racial lines now, that if you support a white basketball player, all of a sudden you're getting the backlash. Someone like yourself, you must be stunned that the coverage that you're seeing in the areas that this story is going in.
And what's so sad about this is that, I know I've met because of the book tour and traveling around the country, not just Iowa and Indiana, but the DC area and Portland, Oregon, and Tucson, Arizona, and Texas, and New Orleans, and all over Chicago. The number of people, black and white, I'm sure Democrats and Republicans. Not that I'm asking them there, but there are thousands. Well, I've met hundreds, but there are certainly thousands, tens of thousands of people of every race and religion and persuasion politically who love Caitlin Clark. So the idea that there aren't people out there who are not her fan, that are only of one set of people, again, that's crazy. And who on earth, what league wants to limit its fans? Like what Roger Goodell say, to all the Swifties, all the 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old girls, no, we don't want you. So that's crazy. The coverage doesn't bother me. It concerns me as a journalist. I have so many people, friends, you go to a 4th of July party, whatever, say, oh, gosh, too bad Caitlin Clark's not playing well, or what's wrong with Caitlin Clark, or why is she having a bad year? And I, of course, it's an unauthorized book. I'm not in business with Caitlin Clark. She does not need me to defend her, but I will talk about facts and truth. That's what we do. And I smile when people say this. I said, she was just named the Eastern Conference Player of the Month. Most of these people didn't even know there was such a thing. But that means she's the best player in the Eastern Conference for the month of June. Her best season ever, obviously breaking all kinds of records that for rookie year and whatever. And they're shocked. So what is happening? Are our sports media people doing their job to relate exactly the facts? And Caitlin Clark, in her talk when she met with the media a couple days ago at practice, she actually called out a story. The headline was something about, it's no fun around the fever of Caitlin Clark. That was the gist of it. It was in The Athletic. I won't name the columnist, but anyone can look it up because I'm not going to go after someone I like and respect. And anyway, and Caitlin Clark called that column out, called The Athletic out, called that reporter, columnist out, not by name, but and said, "You're not talking to me. You're not listening. Like, why did you write such a thing?" Was the gist of what Caitlin Clark said, and I think that's the first time she's ever done that quite like that. So the point is that I think, and I saw this and I related in the book, some of these reporters 2 years ago, I can see this coming, foreshadowing, frankly, what's happening now. No joy for that for me. I wish, obviously, this league would thrive and love, just be having its greatest days. But this infighting, and even some of the media people who seem to, on one hand, Dan, want to minimize Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, want to write and talk all about her for clicks, which of course means that she is so popular that their editors are saying, you write about her because we're going to get so many hits and clicks and page views. But then they want to say she's not important or she's not behaving well. And yes, I've written that too, go into the whole behavior thing in the book, that she, and she talks about how she needs to get better at that. So it's so bizarre. I've covered beats for years, as you know. I was their age when, these younger reporters, you cover the facts, you cover the story, and you're not sad or upset that somebody maybe didn't get recognition 20 years ago. That's a shame. I wish that Maya Moore had been Caitlin Clark. I wish that Cheryl Swoops had been Caitlin Clark. I was covering the W back at the turn of the century, but that didn't happen then. Those are facts, and journalists should be dealing with facts and not trying to change the story or work a story so that there's some kind of misinterpretation about the meaning and the importance of Caitlin Clark.
Do you believe that Kathy Engelbert should be replaced as the commissioner of the WNBA?
I do. I've known Kathy for a while. I like her. She's a woman in a man's world. She ran Deloitte. We're a few years apart in age. I totally respect that as someone who had a lot of that, being the only woman in the press box or whatever. University of Miami, as you know, and other places, maybe one or two of us, and that was the only woman in the locker room, etc. So I respect her background and her leadership and this great resume that she has. I don't get this. I don't get it at all. The paralysis, the inability to, I will not even editorialize. I will say the facts. The number of times that Kathy Engelbert has been asked by journalists, picking out John Wertheim with 60 Minutes as an example, asked about Caitlin Clark, and then her answer is, well, Caitlin and Angel. And John Wertheim, to his great credit, wonderful friend and obviously great colleague, says, no, I didn't ask you about Angel. I only asked you about Caitlin. And then in her, the WNBA playoffs I covered in the finals in 2024, went on and on about all the things that had happened that year: record-breaking attendance, the TV viewership, moving to bigger arenas, all because of one person, Caitlin Clark. And throughout that, I think it was close to 20 minutes, 18, 19 minutes, Kathy Engelbert never said the words Caitlin Clark, never uttered her name. So something's going on, and leadership is needed. And when you have a void like this, the void is filled with anger and aggression, and you get things like that picture that's going to last forever, of Alyssa Thomas's fist on the throat of Caitlin Clark, the woman who's responsible for the charter flights and more money, at least in some ways, with the collective bargaining agreement that Alyssa Thomas is getting. So that fist to the throat, and also kneeing her groin beforehand, and then the very weak penalty. That's the other thing. Slap on the wrist, $1,000 fine for a woman, Alyssa Thomas, making $1.2 million this year, obviously because of the increase in interest and the salaries, in part because of Caitlin, large part because of Caitlin Clark, and also just a 1-game suspension when it should have been, I think, at least 10 games.
Absolutely. Christine Brennan, make sure you get the bestseller book on her game, The Revolution of Women's Sport in Women's Sports. It's all about Caitlin Clark. And Christine, thank you so much. We'll do this again. Have a great 4th of July weekend.
You too, Dan. Thank you.
Sileo says next here on SportsGrid.
He gives them a chance, but they've got to keep putting people around him. I think he's a very good quarterback. I don't know that he's the one that elevates you all by himself. I think he still needs the help. Excellent player, perfect guy to lead your organization, perfect place for it. And by the way, I'd start him from day one. I wouldn't waste any time on it. But got to put pieces around him, and John Spytek has already started doing that.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo. Only on SportsGrid.
This is the third time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done.
Yeah.
He's
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latination Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy, crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.
One of the real big stories this offseason for college football has been, what is the 2026 season going to look like now with all these guardrails that people are trying to put around the sport? All the money that's being generated. There was a story that came out just a couple of days ago that said that if you're a Power 4 program, you're looking in excess of $30 million for any given roster that's in a Power 4. $30 million for a college football roster. This is big business now. The problem that you're going to always find and you're always going to run into, here's where we're going. I don't care how many bills you put in Washington. I don't care what the president says. I don't care what Donald Trump thinks about trying to put the genie back into the jar. The number one thing is, when the NCAA starts treating college football like a business, that's where you're going to start going forward. You need to get a collective bargaining agreement with these players. Until you get a collective bargaining agreement, you're going to be running into walls. You're going to be running into courtrooms. You're going to be running into lawyers that are going to shoot you down each and every single time until you decide to run this like a business. College football is not run like a business. It's run like separate entities. And this is why you have no control and you have no leadership at the top. Nobody on the planet would ever put leadership and the NCAA next to one another. The National Communist Association of America have done nothing when it comes to running college sports effectively and efficiently. You know why? They're afraid of getting into business with the players. Well, when you're generating nearly $4 million in nil now, you are a business partner. And until you start acting like this is a business, the NCAA and every single person that thinks they can put the genie back in the bottle is going to run into those courtrooms. And they are going to get their heads kicked in by judges who know that everything that they have suggested is unconstitutional. If you want to put college sports on the map, treat it like a business. They do not treat college athletes like they're employees. They treat them still like they're part of a school, in that they still have this notion that amateur sports has been lost for 20 years. When you start paying coaches in excess of $10 million annually, you are now playing professional sports. Folks, do you know the top 25 college football coaches rival the National Football League when it comes to their salaries and what head coaches make? Do you know Kirby Smart makes more money than the current head coach of the Seattle Seahawks? You're telling me that college sports needs to put guardrails around these kids? Make it a business, dude. The only way that college football and college basketball is going to be able to get any kind of rules is to collectively bargain it. The NCAA doesn't want to sit down at a table with lawyers that representing kids for them to get a deal done, because you know why? Then you start to look like the National Football League. Well, until that happens, you are going to continually run, as I said, into these courtrooms. Make no mistake about it, too. You know, the NCAA throwing all these eligibility now rules around. The NCAA trying to really rein in nil. Well, you've got to get down to business. It's got to be collectively bargained. You're not going to tell a kid sitting in Washington, and I mean Washington State, the same thing you're going to tell a kid in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and how he should sit there and handle his nil versus a kid with the Washington Huskies. You've got to collectively bargain that. We've all got to come together as student athletes and put a business plan together and present it to who? The problem is that the NCAA has no teeth. They have never had any teeth. And by the way, in the past, one of the issues that really came up always was that if the NCAA told you something, you did it and you never asked questions. Well, I got to hand it to the athletes of today. They ask why. Why aren't I eligible? Why can't I get a medical hardship? Why can't I go back to college? Why can't I be paid? Why can't I do this? And quite frankly, the NCAA has never come up with a reason that would ever shoot that kid's opportunity down, because once you get into a courtroom, that judge always sides with the kid and says, you know what? You're right. Even the National Football League got into a situation this last week with Brandon Sorsby. They took the NCAA side. Well, they would have lost that case if they had gone to court, because a judge in Lubbock County ruled to install his eligibility again with the Red Raider football program. He didn't want to battle it because Texas Tech had given him the $4.1 million nil, and he decided to try to go for the supplemental draft. The National Football League said no, so he'll be eligible for the 27 draft. Collectively bargaining. Let's go. George Kurtz next here on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latin Nation Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day, de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy, crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.
This is the 3rd time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done.
Yeah.
He's
stop
on the
jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
The adventures of George Kurtz. I'm learning right now here what's going on with him during this 4th of July weekend. And George, I appreciate you coming aboard with us here, man. Thank you so much here. Quite an entertaining 4th of July. Nothing like that, though, in Major League Baseball, right? Not like your power going out in little storms in Major League Baseball, no?
Baseball has their own problems, Dan. Dan, are we a big fan with every game today being on the Peacock? All right, where you got to stream.
No.
Every game's on Peacock. I mean,
No.
I have Peacock, all right, so I'll be able to find the games, but still, a lot of people don't. A lot of barbecues, people outside, they want to enjoy a game, and they can't. I don't know. In my mind, this is a bad move by Major League Baseball, but you and I both know only matters that they got paid, and they got paid.
Yeah, but George, I think this is part of the stuff that kills baseball, because when you and I grew up, it was a national sport. You had the national game of the week with Garagiola and with Kubek there on Saturdays. Now that you've regionalized it so much, and now you're putting it on all these apps, dude, you're not the NFL. People are going to pay for those premium games. 87% of the NFL games are on free television. Yes, we're starting to see a lot of this now being paid at the expense of the consumer now when you got to pay for these holiday games. But Major League Baseball needs to promote their sport more. And to put it on these apps, I'm more apt to do this, George. Hey, forget it, dude. I'm not looking forward to this. I'm going to go watch some World Cup, or I'm going to go watch something else during the holiday weekend. This is a bad move for baseball.
Agreed. Now, all 15 games today are on Peacock or NBC.
That's
or
crazy.
NBCSN. And I got to tell you, I don't know what channel NBCSN is or CN, whatever the hell they call it on my cable network, because I have no clue. So I don't know if I'll be able to watch that game later. I think it's Toronto-Seattle offhand for those wondering. So I don't like it, but it's what all these sports do. Now, you're right. The NFL get away with it, right? So NFL, listen, is the Goliath, right? God. Baseball's not that. It's one game, folks. If I can't find it, you know what? I'll live to find another game, or worry about it tomorrow. It's one baseball game. It's not September. It's July. These games aren't really all that important yet. So, it's. I don't think it's a good move of baseball, but listen, I'm sure they got paid a small fortune for NBC to have every game on, Sunday, July 5th on one of their networks. It's like Peacock, NBC, NBCSN, whatever else they might own here. I don't like it. I think it's bad for the game here, but they haven't cared what we think in a long time.
Absolutely here. So how about this? Your thoughts on baseball's all-star voting. Do you like the process? Do you think it's fair? And by the way, do you believe that every team should be represented in an all-star game? Are we trying to make this a scenario where these are participation, exhibitions now? Is that what this is all about? Are the best players truly being really represented there at the all-star game? And do you like the voting?
No, I don't like anything about the all-star game. Okay. I hate the uniforms they're going to wear. All right. I hate all that. The fans voting. You cannot call it an all-star game if the fans are voting and if each team has to be represented. Don't get me wrong. I understand. All right. When we were younger, all right, then we didn't see every game, every team, every day. Yeah, I want to see my favorite team, which was the Yankees, of course, and I want to see that player in pinstripes at the All-Star game. I did, and I loved seeing Pete Rose or Steve Garvey or Dave Parker, and seeing their uniforms. I hate that they all have All-Star uniforms, because they want to sell them. It's all about money. I think it's idiotic. If you're going to call it an All-Star team, listen. Maybe there's somebody from the Los Angeles Angels doesn't deserve to be there this year. Okay, it's Colorado Rockies. I'm not saying, I'm just naming teams here, bad teams, but maybe they weren't all-stars, and then you're going to leave other players at home. It's just silly to me. It's just silly. And by the way, the players don't care. We've already seen players opt out. We'll see more. I know Vladimir Guerrero opted out. He does have a legitimate injury. I get it, but the players don't care about this. And by the way, if the game is so important, why are players like Ohtani? If Judge was healthy, the best player, Soto, they'll be gone by the third, fourth inning. They're not determining this game in the eighth, ninth inning. They're gone. You're lucky they're still at the stadium. They might be already on a plane to wherever they're going to go on their 2-day vacation that's left here. So the players don't really care about it. I lost interest in it a long time ago. Don't get me wrong, Dan. Next Tuesday, I'm watching the game. There's not going to be anything else on. I'll watch, but I won't care who wins, who loses. It's just the fact that the game is on here, and I'll want something to watch, or I'll binge a show with my wife.
I have more enjoyment watching that, like Field of Dreams type of game, where they hold it out in the cornfield like that. And I have a better passion for that type of game. And, I can't think, George, you just bring up a point here. I can't think of a signature moment that the All-Star game has had. When I was a kid, Reggie off the light tower, Parker in right field with the throw to the plate to get Downing. I'm trying Rose rounding third base, knocking Fosse on his ass. Lynn making the catch in center field, to save the All-Star game. I don't know where these signature moments are, and it surely shows that maybe baseball doesn't even really care about these signature moments.
If you go away from what you're talking about, back when the All-Star game maybe was more important, when the two leagues really hated each other too, it's a little different nowadays. I think your signature moment, by the way, when you were talking about it, the first thing that came into my head was the catch that Torrey Hunter made off Barry Bonds jumping over the wall in Milwaukee. But guess what? That's also the All-Star game that, we have nobody left. Oh, it's a tie. Go home. That's also, and that's what I think about. That's the signature moment in an All-Star game, right? Because of, Selig had no clue what to do next. Why they just didn't have a home run hitting contest is beyond me. Just have it right then and there. But, listen, Hunter dog robbing Bonds, and Bonds then they're giving him a bear hug and picking him up. That would be the signature moment here. Over that, the ones you mentioned here. I do remember when the National League had won like so many in a row. And I believe it was Fred Lynn, again, who had a grand slam in Comiskey. To give the American League a win there back, 86, 87, whatever it might be. That rings a bell in my head as well here. But like I said, I won't care who wins or loses next week. I won't. It'll just be the game on TV. It's not the same. And a lot of that is because, and I like interleague play, but a lot of that's because of interleague play as well, right? The rivalries aren't there as much as they want. But like I said, a lot of these players would rather be, going to the Caribbean or going to Hawaii for 4 days than play in this game.
I want to get your thoughts on some of the games and some of the teams so far as we get to that All-Star game through the 4th of July weekend. We keep bringing this team up every single time I get you on here, George. Tampa Bay 9-1 over the last 10 ball games. They're now 4 or 5 up in the American League East right now. And again, maybe it's just bad ball in the AL East. But Dan, Eric Neander, the general manager, and Kevin Cash, it's insane. Here they are. I mean, Junior Caminero is going to start for the second time in a row for the Rays. It's the first time a Ray player has ever done that as a position player. Just your thoughts on the Rays, man.
Well, as a Yankee fan, they're ticking me off. All right. I know the Yankees have their own issues. They're not playing very well. Listen, the Rays, we've said this before. Damn it. You and I have talked about the Rays several times. They play baseball. They're one of the few teams in Major League Baseball that actually plays baseball. Most teams play out, we're going to strike you out, we're going to 3-run a home run. That's what the game has become. But the Rays they'll steal base, they'll put pressure on your defense. All right, they're going to hit and run. They're going to bunt the ball. They're going to hit the ball the other way to move runners over here. They play the game the way it was meant to be played. They know, Caminero aside, right? Because the guy hits a home run every game here. But Caminero aside, they're not waiting for a 3-run home run. Right, they're not playing Earl Weaver baseball here. They're going to play the game the way it was meant to be played, and you have to like their pitching staff, right? That starting staff, pretty damn good. With McClanahan, who's I don't think he's all the way back yet, but he's pitching well.
Right.
All right, you got Rasmussen. I know he got roughed up last night. I get it, but he's been a Cy Young contender so far this season. Martinez, Jax, these guys. It's a good, solid team. Do I wonder? It's a long season. We're only a little bit more than halfway through. Do I think it's going to wear down a little bit? Yes. I'm very curious. The trade deadline is July 5th here, so it's 29 days away. Will they make that move? And I don't mean a little move. I mean, will they make a bigger move? Something they generally don't do. That being said, Dan, the American League is watered down. Maybe this is their year. I still think Seattle's my team. I think they will make a big move for a bat. But who's going to make that move here? But this could be their year.
Yep. Absolutely. Here more with George Kurtz. We're going to talk some more Major League Baseball, but our great friends at Morgan & Morgan, the number one injury law firm in all of America for a reason. I tell you about the family in Pennsylvania, $650K. They ended up getting $30 million in settlement. Or the family in Florida that was initially offered $350,000. They got nearly $12 million in settlement. Go to forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor. You tell them Big Sills sent you. No doubt that Rays team with Yandy Diaz sitting at the top of that batting order too. The way that they're playing, he's right now in line to win another batting championship. We will continue talking some more Major League Baseball with George Kurtz next, right here on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latination Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy, crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.
This is the 3rd time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done.
Yeah.
He's
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
So I just learned something about George Kurtzow. How in the world can you be a Yankee fan and you're not arrogant? I mean, that's a new one on me, George. I mean, every Yankee fan I've ever known, we don't count American League Championship flags. We count World Series flags. You know what I mean? That to me is Yankee arrogance. I mean, you win a series, you're like, hey, we're doing this thing again. How you doing, right? I mean, you're not. I've never met any Yankee fan that's not arrogant.
We're spoiled, Yankee fans. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Like I said, I was talking to you during the break, right? If you're a Yankee fan that's under 35, 30, you don't know what losing is. You just don't. The Yankees since 93, 94 have been going to the play. I mean, a couple of years they missed, but pretty much you go to the playoffs. You may lose in the divisional round or the championship round, but you're in the playoffs. It's so different from back in the day where if you're making the playoffs is a huge thing. Yeah, the Yankees made it 76, 77, 78, 79, 80. So you got that little run. But the 80s, the Yankees didn't do all that well other than 81 and 83. All right. Other than that, they were a fun team. They were a team that scored a lot of runs, but gave up a lot of runs. I loved watching Don Mattingly, Winfield, Ricky Henderson, and company there. But then it was really the 90s. Actually, it was when George got suspended that the Yankees turned it around there, where they didn't trade away all their players. So I understand Yankees are arrogant fans for the most part. I think for me personally, it's probably because I'm involved. Yes, I'm a big Yankee fan. You look in this room, all you're going to see is Yankee memorabilia, Cowboy memorabilia, the Islanders. But I'm also my fantasy. So sometimes I got to root against the Yankees because of my fantasy leagues. Money comes more important to me than fandom, okay?
Oh, yes.
It makes me money. Yeah, that's where my money is. And maybe gambling as well here. So money, as much as I love the Yankees, Hal's not paying my bills there, Dan. Okay, so you may have to make money other ways. Sometimes you may have to root against them a little bit here, including today, where I may have taken the Twins.
Well, here, let me throw this at you here with Aaron Judge, and you tell me if my Yankee fandom is whacked here when I say this about him. Hey, dude, I don't care how many MVPs you've won. I don't care about any of that. I don't care how many home runs you hit. I don't care how many times you are in contention for a batting title. Bro, go win a World Series. Until you win a World Series, that's when those dudes are out there in Monument Park. You are not a Monument Park guy now. I don't care who you are. You're Dave Winfield. You're Mr. May. Bro, you got to show up when it matters. Am I whacked with that mentality?
I don't think you're whacked. I certainly don't think he's monument until, once again, you do have to win a World Series. You're not going to win all the ones that, Mantle and DiMaggio won. Different game back then. And Derek Jeter and company, Rivera, that was also it's just a great run as a Yankee fan, right? That's not going to probably happen in today's game either. But you need to win at least one. You do. It's not all his fault, and I'm not someone who blames it all on him. Lord knows he had a great postseason last year, and it didn't matter. The Yankees as a whole seem to, they don't play their best in the playoffs. I think that's because they're mainly built for the regular season. They're not really built for the postseason, of late here on the cash bin for whatever reason. I love Judge. I guess if I still had a favorite player, it would be Aaron Judge. Lord knows I like saying the 500-foot home runs and the way he plays. Great Yankee, great player. But generally in the playoffs, he's come up small. But even if he came up big, even if he's batting .360 in the playoffs, I would feel the same way, Dan. Unless you win a championship, you're not going to be in Monument Park. It's not. I don't care if you have 500, 600 home runs. Flags fly forever, and you don't have one right now.
That's right, man. I mean, I don't even know how the hell CC Sabathia got the hell out there, but hey, that's another day here. I mean, hey,
and I love
George,
CC.
What's happened to the National League West, in your opinion? There's one team. It's Dodgers, and everybody else is falling apart.
Well, I wonder if that's half the problem. We always knew the Rockies were going to be bad. Giants were always going to be bad. And the Diamondbacks took a step back, right? We knew Corbin Burns wasn't going to return to them. They didn't make really any additions here. So they were always going to be a so-so team. San Diego has the ownership change. They didn't spend any money. Maybe they looked like they were looking to get rid of money here. So I don't think this is a shock at all. And by the way, I don't think the Dodgers are all that great a team either. They've had their share of injuries again, which seems to happen to them every year. I think they are beatable. I do. And I still think that team in Milwaukee might be a team to beat. Maybe Philadelphia if they can add a little bit more there at the deadline. The Dodgers would still be my favorite, of course, here. But I don't think they're like, oh, no one's beating the Dodgers. I don't think that. I may have thought that last year, but I don't really think that this year. I think they are beatable there. But I don't think what happened in the National League West is all that big a surprise, Dan. Like I said, Giants were terrible. They were always going to be rocky. Diamondbacks didn't make any moves there. And then the Padres, the ownership change, they didn't add much either here. That starting pitching was never going to hold up.
Freddie Freeman, I believe this is his 10th All-Star game. You think this guy's a Hall of Fame baseball player?
Now, anybody, boy, you're hitting all the buzz topics today, by the way, of things I love to rail against here. Just start talking about Cy Young voting here. I don't care about the All-Star game. I don't care about the Cy Young voting anymore. That being said, I'd love to talk about it. Do I think he's a Hall of Famer? That's another one of my topics. I would probably take players out of the Hall of Fame before I put any more in. I think the Hall of Fame has gotten watered down immensely. That being said, I do think I would vote Freddie Freeman in. I would. And he's also one of my favorite non-Yankee players. Just like the way he's handled himself, both with Atlanta and the Dodgers here. He's a professional. You know, when I think of professional, I think of Freddie Freeman. He's a professional baseball player and a damn good one. So I think his career is winding down. Yes. You know, with that being said, I do think he deserves to be in the Hall one day. And that actually might be a speech I'd end up watching here. So, yes, I will vote yes for Freddie Freeman. And by the way, Dan, I get asked that question a lot on a lot of different shows. This might be the first time I've actually said yes to somebody. Usually it's like, no, he's the Hall of Very good. And in Freddie Freeman's case, I do think he's in.
Why do you hate the Cy Young voting?
But I think it's a lot of these writers, it's a personal thing, you know, where they like you, so you get a vote. I mean, come on. The greatest quote ever was by Verlander's girlfriend. I forget what actress. I forget who it is.
Kate
I
Upton.
thought I was the only person. Kate, yeah, right. I thought I was the only person allowed to F Justin Verlander, and she didn't say F. You know, I think Porcello won it over him. I was like, oh my God. And she was right, by the way. You know, I don't know. I think voters get bored sometimes too. How does Tom Brady not have more MVPs? How does Bill Belichick not have more coaches of the year? How does Mike Trout now not have more MVPs? Because voters get bored. Oh, I don't want to vote for this guy again. Yeah, we'll give it to somebody else. So I hate all these awards because I think that plays into it as much. I'll talk about it. I'll give you who my picks would be always. But I think it just gets political. People get bored. And not a lot, but some of the times we don't get the real true representative.
Real quick, 30 seconds. You think the Phillies run down the Braves in the National League East?
Yes, I do. The pitching staff for Atlanta is on fumes, right? With all these injuries here, I thought they had to add somebody in the offseason. They didn't. They have to add somebody by the deadline. Yes, but it'll be close. It'll be a fun race.
Man, I can't wait to see how this thing all plays out here for baseball because, like you said, man, I mean, the Yankees, they get Judge back. I mean, the Yankees you're still in the conversation, right? You still think the Yankees are going to be in the conversation here. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens after the All-Star break. George, appreciate you. ESPN, it's in the bullseye again for big sales. Well,
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latin Nation Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day, de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy, crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.
This is the 3rd time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done.
Yeah.
He's
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes I understand where we are in today's sports landscape, and that is it's about clicks, getting views, getting people to get interest, reposting. I get all that, believe me. Again, I see this all the time. My daughter brings it up to me, but boy, I'll tell you, ESPN has just not become the entertainment sports network that it once was. It's just not. So now you're having debates on whether A'ja Wilson is in the same conversation with Tom Brady's greatness. A'ja Wilson from the WNBA in the same conversation with Tom Brady? I mean, I would have went down the line if you started talking to me about Serena Williams and talking about Serena's greatness. I kind of would get that. A'ja Wilson, so that, again, more shade on Caitlin Clark, trying to talk about how great she is. She's a great basketball player. There's no question about it. But, dude, to get more eyeballs on your sport and more people interested in your sport, if I lined A'ja Wilson up in a mall, I promise you, anywhere in America, 20% of the people would even know who she was. That's the problem that you have when you're trying to promote race baiting, rage baiting, is what ESPN's come down to now. And now you got Stephen A. Smith. So Stephen A. Smith, I'm very critical of many times. So Stephen A. Smith came out the other day and said this, and I want to quote this here, that he questions whether or not a black host would get the same deal that Pat McAfee is just about ready to sign. I happen to know Pat very well, and Pat's in line to get a $60 million annual deal with Disney and with ESPN. And Stephen A. Smith brought it into the race column and said, would a black host get that opportunity? Last I checked, Stephen A. Smith signed a record-breaking deal and a landmark deal at $20 million a year when his contract came up. Did it ever cross Stephen A. Smith's mind that Pat McAfee is more important to ESPN than what Stephen A. Smith is? He's on two of the biggest shows that they have on that network now, the Pat McAfee Show and also College Game Day. College Game Day is their best and most viewed show of any show that they have when it comes to ESPN, and arguably the best show. I love PTI with Kornheiser and Wilbon. This show here, College Game Day, there is nothing like it, and McAfee has actually taken the baton from Lee Corso, and I think he's elevated it with Nick Saban. He's become more important to ESPN. It never crossed Stephen A. Smith's mind that, hey, dude, he's a better talent than you. Hey, dude, he's a guy that ESPN looks at because he gets views, he gets ratings. He has big-time guests on his show, and it's really not about race baiting. Now, look, you see a traditional broadcaster? Absolutely no. I've had conversations, like I said, with Pat about this, and ESPN, the people that work there can't stand him because of what he generates for that company. And to sit there and see where ESPN has come down to and all the great anchors that they had in the past on what ESPN was is mind-numbing. A'ja Wilson, and whether or not she's in the same conversation with Tom Brady when it comes to Brady's greatness is insane conversation. She is a spectacular basketball player. No issues, dude. But to sit there and try to go down the line just to be able to get clicks and views, and I get it. That's where we are today. It's not about being talented. It's about being seen. And unfortunately, this is where some of the sports broadcasting is today. It's down that lane. Dude, I think she's awesome. I think there's no question about it that she's one of the greatest players in the history of the sport. I think the WNBA with Kathy Engelbert is absolutely dropping the ball with all the things that they could be doing when it comes to promoting that sport. You got a golden goose that we've mentioned numerous times in Caitlin Clark, and you got her 11th when it comes to WNBA voting for guards. She's third in scoring. She's like third in like assists. Her team's averaging 94 points a game. Highest number in 16 years. And you think she's the 11th best player at that position in the WNBA. Makes no sense. And I was so glad to hear Christine Brennan on with us earlier from USA Today say that they need a new change and a new direction when it comes to having leadership with that organization. And ESPN, of course, doesn't cover this. I mean, at the end of the day, folks, you have an opportunity to do exactly what Larry and Magic did back in the day, and David Stern was so smart to do it. He took race, greatness, Celtics, Lakers, and he sold it. And it turned the NBA around. Guys like Jordan and guys like Kobe and LeBron stand on those two guys' shoulders because of what David Stern and those two players did for the NBA. And the WNBA seemingly misses this. It's incredible. I mean, and it's becoming laughable in how this sport is being watched and covered by ESPN. It's amazing. Kevin Walsh will join us. We're going to go around the horn, and we'll talk World Cup next year on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for el verano más futbolero de tu vida? Latination Football Club turns into Copa Nation, our live stream experience every day, de lunes a viernes, 11 a.m. Pacific and 2 p.m. Pacific as well. Checking in after the games. In that slot between games, we got you, my friend. We're going to have celebrities, legends of the game, content creators, and a bunch of our friends that are going to keep you entertained and informed, letting you know what's happening all across the 3 countries that are going to be experiencing this crazy, crazy football tournament. Don't miss it. Copa Nation right here on Latin Nation every day. Check it out.
This is the 3rd time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done.
Yeah.
He's
like,
on
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
And you could see Kevin Walsh all over the network all the time. And he is here with us right now. And boy, I got to tell you, these storylines that are going on with the World Cup, I am not a soccer guy, but I'll tell you what I've become. I've become appointment setting. And it's something that I now want to watch. It's something that's, I'm a content guy. And I turn my television on all day long and I sit around and I watch these events. And Kevin, I got to tell you, man, it's been one of the best events that I can remember in American sports. And really, I mean, you go back, I can't think of really another event worldwide, especially with the 250th, anniversary of the 4th of July weekend. It's been insane, no?
Yeah, the added teams ended up being for the better. There was a thought that they were going to add a bunch of teams and it was going to lead to these 8-0, the way Germany Curacao looked. And that's not what happened. We got some great stories, right? When you think about DR Congo having a halftime lead over England, Cape Verde really pushing Argentina until that final second. And the other thing is just a so far once-in-a-lifetime performance from all the superstars at the same time. We've never seen this before. Messi's on 7 goals. Mbappe's on 6. Haaland played today. Vinny Jr. himself, Harry Kane. Like, these guys are all delivering and potentially going to have multiple guys with 10 goals in a World Cup. That just doesn't happen. Usually 6 goals will get you the golden boot at this tournament. So I think that superstar success has been a big part. And I mean, when I say locally, I guess nationally for us, it looks the best the United States have. I mean, Dan, ever. Right? I mean, I don't think we're going to win, but I think this is the most impressive group we've had.
Would you say this? How do you carry the momentum on, Kev? Because I've been hearing this for 50 years. Hey, we're going to be good. Hey, we're going to be good. And all of a sudden, someone's telling me, hey, we're good. Well, it's about time, dude. The women have carried the mantle and they've carried the baton and the torch all these decades, when it came to U.S. soccer. Is this an opportunity like, say, the Dream Team had in 94, where all of a sudden, hey, we're going to spread basketball all over the world? Well, guess what? It's now on the NBA. Look at the superstars that are on the NBA. Do you think a team like this will galvanize it? Can they continue that momentum for U.S. soccer moving forward after the World Cup?
If it's going to happen, it feels like this is the moment, because the way the schedule has broke on Thursday, July 16th. So we'll have the final will be set, but it doesn't get played until the 19th. The MLS is back. The MLS operates on a different schedule than all the other main leagues, so they're all done right now. Eventually, I think the MLS is going to go to that other schedule, which I actually don't think will be a bad thing. But in this moment, the fact that their league is in the middle of it is an incredible thing, because it's going to be on. That Thursday, when people are like, wait a minute, where's the soccer? They have it. They're going to be the only ones with it, Dan. And then a week after, right, when the World Cup is done, people are like, man, I wouldn't mind watching Messi again. Yeah, he's on. Inter Miami are playing, right? So this is a real moment. They are continuing to still bring in maybe a bit past their prime, but still plenty of juice, guys like Robert Lewandowski, who's going to play for the Chicago Fire. It's just, I do think one of the important aspects of growing that game, this has always been true, is growing the MLS, growing Major League Soccer. And this is a pivotal moment for them.
Monday night, what are you expecting from Team USA, and how big a moment is that for soccer in America when they take on Belgium?
Man, the thing is, and I don't want to downplay what any team has accomplished by getting to this round, but because of the increased size of the tournament, winning a knockout stage game doesn't mean as much as it used to, right? It's just, there's more of them. Bosnia is not a true knockout level team. Belgium is the type of team that makes a statement. And Belgium are so tricky because they've spent most of this tournament looking super underwhelming. And then they just turned it on in that, 5-minute stretch against Senegal, and they win it with the penalty in extra time. I think for the U.S., at minimum, you expect a competitive game, but I don't think the odds makers are wrong with having such a close line. We've seen home field matter a ton, right? We saw Canada have the greatest performance in the history of their nation with the way they beat Qatar. We're seeing Mexico get a lot of respect heading into a match with a powerhouse like England. So for the U.S., the thing is, we talk about having 3 host nations. Yeah, kind of. There's really only one, right? After Mexico plays today, this whole thing's back in the United States. So for the U.S., the opportunity is bigger than anybody else to not only then beat Belgium here on U.S. soil, but then think to yourselves, well, why not? Why not, right? Do Spain or Portugal, who they would play the winner of, have they had moments of vulnerability enough where the U.S. could believe, hey, we could knock one of those teams off, and then that becomes the crowning achievement of soccer here in this country? So I am not guaranteeing a win. I think we're all going to be rooting. I expect goals in the game. How could you not? Defensively, neither one of these teams, I think, inspire a ton of confidence. But I'm a little nervous for it because it's such a big moment here, undoubtedly.
Absolutely. And plus, they get some great news that they're going to be full force in this game on Monday night.
Absolutely. Balogun getting the suspension kind of turned into a probation, if you will. There is some precedent for this. I know it's going to drive non-Americans crazy. My take on that, too bad. It's like, what else do you want? Like, it's good he gets to play. And the U.S. are going to need goals in this game, and he's been their top goal scorer. He has been consistently their biggest threat at the end of the pitch. So, and I imagine from a betting perspective, Dan, the amount of Balogun to score bets now, the books are going to very much not be, I think, all too pleased with this move.
social media blowing up already. It's rigged for the Americans to move on. So, I mean, like you said, hey, eat it. It's okay. We're ready to rock on Monday night here. Hey, can coaching really be that much of a difference here in what we're seeing? I mean, like you said, Kev, to open this segment up, that's the best I've ever seen them play. To me, it's always been like rooting for NC State, the 17th or 18th best college football team in the country. And that's what it's been like here. But has it really just been coaching that has been the difference here with this U.S. men's team?
I don't think it's the only thing, but I think it matters. And the more, I try and listen to not just people talk about this tournament, but, other leagues and the way this game evolves, these coaches matter, these managers more and more. The dominance that a guy like Pep Guardiola had at Manchester City, a lot of that, yes, there's great players, but it's about Pep. People who have picked Brazil to win this tournament. Yes, there are great players, right? And we talk about Vinicius Jr., but it's Carlo Ancelotti and his 100 Champions League trophies. It feels like he has lifted here. So for Pochettino, who had, a great run at Tottenham, struggled to find footing elsewhere, but he really does feel like the guy. And that, I think, is nice to be able to kind of put your eggs in that basket, if you will, because whether Balogun played or not, whether Pulisic was healthy or not, there is this confidence that you have that, because it's hard to enter a game, even with a team like Belgium, and think, hey, we're on even footing here. It's not outrageous if the United States enters this match against Belgium and thinks, well, we have the edge at manager. We're that check. We do it a lot of times in the NFL, right? Where it's like coach, quarterback, defense, check who's got the advantage. The U.S. probably do have the edge on that, aspect of this game on Monday night.
I can't wait to see it. I mean, it's appointment-setting television now for me to see what this experienced Belgian team will do. We'll talk more with Kevin Walsh. We'll get his thoughts on the NBA. Where does LeBron go? Giannis? Also, Celtics and Sixers. Keep it right here on SportsGrid.
I know you didn't. Talk!
I'm innocent. Got the wrong guy. It wasn't me. I didn't do anything. Okay, it was me. I did it.
Bringing an owl to an interrogation? That's a power move.
Every time. Yeah.
Hiring America's largest injury law firm for your injury? That's also a power move. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
more with Kevin Walsh here, but it's been just an absolutely sensational World Cup. Couple more thoughts here on this here with Kevin. One thing I've learned about these national stars and these world stars like Messi, Ronaldo, we're seeing all these great players here. It's really opening it up for the American sports fan that has guardrails. I'm an NFL guy. Outside the National Football League's guardrails, the American borders, right? I mean, I don't know anything else other than that because these are our sports, right? I think it's really inundated us American sports fans on watching Messi, watching Cristiano Ronaldo, seeing all these superstars that they have on France. I mean, it's really broadened the spectrum of seeing what's really out there with the biggest sport on the planet. And I think it's been refreshing.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, people want American fans to flock to the MLS, and there will be some, but there's also a reason why the Premier League is advertised as much as it is, right? Obviously, it's still English speaking, and you can follow it. It's honestly probably more accessible than the Premier League. You don't need an Apple TV subscription to follow the Premier League at a pretty high level with their national TV schedule. So you take a guy like Haaland who will play today, and if you want to watch him on Saturday mornings with Manchester City, you can do that. I was at a 4th of July party where people who, like, when I show up, they're like, oh God, here comes the sports guy, right? Like, they're not interested in it. They were talking about, like, that guy Haaland's cool, man. That guy's awesome. He's got a YouTube channel. I'm like, what? Haaland? That's where, okay. Like, sure. That, but good for them. Like, I'm glad people are getting into it. So yes, I think you're absolutely spot on that the draw for this tournament has not just been, oh, the U.S. has been cool. It has been an everyday star fest that has kept people entertained throughout.
I want to take you to the NBA now, and I want to ask you right out of the gate here about LeBron James. LeBron said that he would take the league minimum. I believe that's $3.9 million, Kev. Why did he just stay in Los Angeles then if he was going to take the league minimum? Is it going to be about padding stats wherever he goes, or is it really going to be about winning an NBA championship? Because if he goes to Miami and he teams up with Bam and Giannis, or say he goes to Philadelphia or he goes to Golden State, what's your feeling on where he goes and plays basketball this coming season?
Well, firstly, with the Lakers piece of it is the Lakers didn't appreciate what they had. I'm sorry they didn't. They would not have made the Walker Kessler trade if LeBron stayed. That makes no sense. LeBron is the second best player on that team. They ran to give Austin Reeves the max contract, and yet they probably were only interested in LeBron at the minimum. I understand some teams earn different things, and I don't think the Lakers earned LeBron on a minimum contract, frankly. And I think there's a few factors for him in figuring this out. I think he, of course, wants a nice story. I think he wants to compete, and I don't think the Lakers felt like either really one of those. I don't know if he believed in the ability to compete. I don't know if he believed in that story either. I think the options on the table, if it is about coming home, then this thing's actually over and it's just going back to Cleveland. But I also think if that's what it was, why not have it already over already, right? He could have signed over July 4th weekend. A ton of, big-time NBA signings have happened in that time frame there. So there has to be more to it than just returning home. Not saying he's not going to go back to Cleveland, but are there other roster moves he's interested in the teams he's considering making? People worry, Dan, about Miami filling out that roster if there's going to be enough shooting. So is he waiting to see how that plays out, right? I mean, if he's going to sign on the minimum, and I don't know if he really will, but if he is going to sign on the minimum, there is no rush, right? He's not holding up anybody's cap space. He's not holding up anybody's plans. So I think Cleveland are a legit threat. I think Miami are a legit threat. I think the Sixers are as well. I think Denver more than Minnesota. And I think the Golden State thing only has legs if they land Anthony Davis, and that doesn't seem to be happening.
Go with me here on this. You tell me if you think I'm crazy or do you think there's something to this. Rob Pelinka, the general manager of the Lakers, was Kobe Bryant's agent. And, there were reports there that, he wanted to get $50 million a year over the next 2 years. And he wanted celebration tours out the door. And Rob Pelinka reportedly was like, who do you think you are, Kobe Bryant? And I was just wondering on the way out the door, if that's more about pushing him out the door than it is about embracing him, because you said they didn't earn it to have him come back on the league minimum. I just wonder if Rob really wanted that ending for him in Los Angeles, or he was protecting Kobe Bryant's legacy.
But that's embarrassing if that's how Rob Pelinka is moving, because that's not in the Lakers franchise best. Let's be very clear. LeBron James is not a ceremonial player. He's not Dirk Nowitzki, who was added into the All-Star game in his final season while averaging 4 points a game. LeBron James was the best player on the Lakers in a playoff series win over the Rockets as one of the biggest round one underdogs. That's who LeBron James is. LeBron James has won a finals MVP for this organization. That's who LeBron James is. He finished 6th in MVP voting 2 years ago. So I understand he's 42. But if Rob Pelinka is making decisions based on protecting someone who, of course, means, but that's Kobe welcomed him in when he came, right? I think what it is LeBron was an excuse for a GM who, quite frankly, just relies on luck. Luka was luck. LeBron showing up had nothing to do with Pelinka. He wanted to be a Laker, probably because of Kobe and Magic Johnson, obviously. So he was like, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'll just say I'm doing nothing because it's LeBron's fault. And then LeBron left, and in a day, he traded for Walker Kessler, paid him a max deal that Utah wasn't going to pay him, added 2 picks on top of it and 2 swaps, and locked up their draft capital for nearly a decade.
Incredible. And to your point, Kevin, the last tweet on Kobe Bryant's X account is congratulating on an accomplishment that LeBron James had accomplished. So those 2 guys were good at the end of the day. I just happen to think Rob Pelinka, like you said, I mean, he is no Pat Riley. And I think they've run that franchise into the ground. Kev, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for coming aboard. You bet. Kevin Walsh. Final thoughts. We'll do that next right here on SportsGrid.
Older players in the WNBA going, hey man, we were here when they were paying us nothing. We were here when we had to go overseas to make a paycheck. You're walking in here, you don't realize how easy you have it. So there is some of that too. But yeah, Jordan got beaten up. Magic got beaten up. Bird got beaten up. Kareem got beaten up. You know, Wemby is getting beaten up, by the way.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo. Only on SportsGrid.
This is the 3rd time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done. He's on the jumping. He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Pitching has been really good in their bullpen too. So Chris Getz, their general manager, credit to him. This guy was getting pounded a couple of years ago for decisions and everything like that, but man, it is seemingly working out. The fans, by the way, all of a sudden are pouring in there. Their attendance is on the rise too. So a great sign that the White Sox are in this thing. Now, long term, I don't know. Like, is this a postseason team? Is it a deep postseason team?
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
With the 250th anniversary of America, I got to make a comment here about the greatest athlete in the history of America. You know, I had a great chance years ago when I played at the University of Miami, and my coach, Jimmy Johnson, would bring all these phenomenal celebrities to our practice camp. Every single guy you can imagine. We'd have everyone. Roberto Duran. We would have George Foreman. They would bring in guys like Michael Phelps. They bring all these athletes into our camp, and we would be able to meet Olympians. We were able to meet Major League Baseball. We met Willie Mays. All the players and all the people that you could possibly think. But there was one day that he brought one of the greatest of all time in, and he brought the greatest in. So we're sitting in practice. This was in 1986, and you saw him from a distance. And everyone stopped, and I'll never forget Jerome Brown and Vinny Testaverde looking over at me going, holy, you know what? It's Ali. The entire practice stopped. All of us who grew up in the shadows of what Ali meant. He's my favorite athlete of all time. And in the celebrating of the 250th anniversary, he's America's greatest athlete. He's the most impactful athlete. And when we got a chance to meet him and shake his hand and tell us how much he respected us and how much he loved watching us play football, we all turned around and said, no, you missed the point. We want to be you. We wanted to be brash. We wanted to be talking crap to everyone. We wanted to be trash talkers, all because of Muhammad Ali. Those teams back in the 80s, which are personified with being the most hated team of all time. I'm on Sports Illustrated's most hated team of all time. Not just college football team, but team of all time, the 86 Canes. They ranked the greatest teams and the most hated teams in the history of American sports. And we're the only college on top of that. Jimmy Johnson wanted it that way. And there was Ali at our practice. I had chances to go meet him more down in the South Florida gym that Angelo Dundee had. And Angelo Dundee became a friend of mine and gave me a great piece of memorabilia that Ali had signed for me, a painting that he had signed. It's one of my prized possessions. And I got a chance to talk with him. I got a chance back in the day to meet him when he was there at that gym. And there was Ali at the same arena where he beat Liston, and he's holding a conference, and he's sitting around with kids and talking with people, and the impact that he made off and out of the ring is incredible. There he was at our practice, like I said, looking at all of us. We were like children, just looking up at a guy that you revered. We've had so many great athletes in our country's history. And as we celebrate our country, you have to put Ali as the number one most significant athlete in American sports history. Quite frankly, I don't really think it's close. I don't think there's anybody who has made the impact where you could place that man anywhere in the world and people would know who Muhammad Ali is. Messi, you see now, is probably the closest thing to Ali. But let's not forget there were two Muhammad Alis, the activist and also the athlete. What I always respected about him was he never brought his activism into the ring. He never disrespected using his activism inside the ring. He did that outside, fighting for American rights, fighting for African-American rights, fighting and going after folks when it came to segregation. The things he said about the Vietnam War all turned out to be true. It was almost like a prophet. And then he, of course, was fighting in the greatest era in the heavyweight division. You know, one of my favorite people of all time is this man right here. It is George Foreman. And I had a chance to know George Foreman very well. And I sat ringside when he won the heavyweight championship of the world against Michael Mora. First question I asked him when he was wearing the shorts that he got beaten Zaire by Ali, the Rumble in the Jungle. Why'd you wear the same shorts when you beat Mora? He goes, I wanted to be close to Ali, and I wanted to be close to Muhammad to give me the inspiration and spirit I needed to fight Michael Mora. That night, at 44 years of age, George Foreman knocks him out and becomes the heavyweight champion of the world. First thing he said was I had the spirit of Ali with me. The 250th anniversary of our great country, there is nobody that sits atop. Remember him in the Olympics. Oh, wait, maybe there is. Now, there could be somebody. That could be Joey Chestnut here. I mean, in case you were keeping score here over the weekend here, Chestnut has become the ultimate champion here. Remember something, though. I don't know, man. So maybe, as much as I love Ali, I don't know, Joey Chestnut, rear ends and lips. I don't know what kind of championship trophy that is. But, hey, I hope all have a great weekend. Thank you so much. We'll see you next weekend, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Older players in the WNBA going, hey man, we were here when they were paying us nothing. We were here when we had to go overseas to make a paycheck. You're walking in here, you don't realize how easy you have it. So there is some of that too. But yeah, Jordan got beaten up. Magic got beaten up. Bird got beaten up. Kareem got beaten up. Wemby is getting beaten up, by the way.
Outspoken with Dan Sileo. Only on SportsGrid.
This is the third time he's been medically checked. Even the refs coming over. He's like, dude, like come on. Like after every sort of play in front of the net, the kind of goal he's done. He's
stop jumping.
He's on the turf, like you said, like he's like driving off the top rope. Look at him here again. I give him credit. He's freaking fearless.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Pitching has been really good in their bullpen too. So Chris Getz, their general manager, credit to him. This guy was getting pounded a couple of years ago for decisions and everything like that, but man, it is seemingly working out. The fans, by the way, all of a sudden are pouring in there. Their attendance is on the rise too. So a great sign that the White Sox are in this thing. Now, long term, I don't know. Like, is this a postseason team? Is it a deep postseason team?
Pro baseball today, only on SportsGrid.